Hey guys, welcome back to another Colorful Keto with Dory. I'm just getting you adjusted on Facebook. I'm not gonna lie, I have everything plugged in. So it takes just a slight little bit of adjustment on the cameras when everything is plugged in. So, welcome back to another Motivational Monday. Today we have an extra special guest, and we are meeting Dr. Ryan Lowery for the very first time. I have only chatted with him, and we have not met yet. So I'm really, really excited to talk with him about the trends, the keto trends, and some of the misinformation that we're dealing with on a regular basis. Because I feel like this is the battle we all fight every day, is against misinformation, against things that we're seeing reported in the news, things that our friends and family are coming to us with as concerns. So we're going to talk about that today and what we can do to influence the trends, how we can help fight the spread of misinformation, and you know what's our role in this big keto against the world battle. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and the things that we can do to help share good information and to help our community grow. So we should be with Dr. Ryan in a moment. I'm just going to let him know that we are on and ready to get started whenever he is available. And then we will get started. Okay, I'm on. And he's 5 minutes behind. That's okay. We can totally wait. We are patient. I'm just going to tell him right now, we are patient. No worries. And then we can just chat for a second. Well, he's running late, so we got about 5 minutes to chit-chat together. That's all good. Dory doesn't know how to chit-chat. I don't know how to waste time. That's laughable. I think that's laughable. What we do all the time is just chat. So I'm pretty sure that we can give Dr. Ryan 5 minutes. We are not in any rush at all. Let me shake up my coffee, and we're going to pour some into my pretty teacup. So just because you guys always ask, I still drink bulletproof coffee. I just put it into a teacup because I feel like making a mess everywhere, apparently. I'm getting smoother by the moment. Give me 1 second. Reach a cloth behind you guys. Man, did you see me just spray my coffee all over the counter? This is how I get ready to chat with a doctor, just saying. Oh goodness. You guys should have seen me the first time before I went live with Dr. Ken. It was a scene, I'll tell you what. It was the first time I ever did a dual live with anybody, and I was pretty nervous. I was pretty nervous that I wasn't going to do it right, or I was going to sign it on wrong. I was literally having a panic attack in my bathroom 10 minutes before time to go live. I'm standing in my towel having a panic attack. So if you guys ever feel like I'm always smooth and I'm never nervous, you're wrong. Oh, there we go. Let's get Dr. Ryan in. I'm so excited. Yay! And here we go. We're getting all connected. And he was super fast. That wasn't even 5 minutes. Hello!
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm amazing. We have sound right away. Queen of the world, just saying.
That's it. Killing it.
So I'm Dory. Why don't you introduce yourself? Because there's probably at least 5 people who live under a rock and don't know who you are yet. We're going to fix that, though.
Yeah, I'm Ryan Lowery. We basically have a company called Applied Fitness and Performance that I started with my partner, Dr. Jacob Wilson, to really research. My main focus is ketogenic therapies. He likes that muscle stuff, and he's weird like that. But I like ketogenic therapies for all different types of applications, not only body composition, but things like Alzheimer's, traumatic brain injury, Parkinson's, cancer, things like that. And then ultimately we provide a lot of education and information on a website called ketogenic.com, and we just try and put out as much information and educate as much as humanly possible. That's what we're here to do.
Yes, which is why I wanted to talk to you about our battle against misinformation, because you're out there every day, you're fighting the good fight. I'm seeing your videos. I'm a big fangirl, I won't lie. But as a people, as a keto group, I want to talk about what we can do to help spread the good information and try to limit this misinformation that's everywhere. So first I want to know, where can we follow you to share your stuff? Because that's top of my list.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And, one of the things I'm a big advocate for, and I've talked about this all the time, is I'm big on playing offense. I think we've come to a point with keto, low carb, whatever it may be, that people are talking about, however you want it, carnivore, whatever it is. Like, I'm more focused on being on the offensive rather than the defensive. So whether it's Jillian Michaels or whether it's some brand new news media outlet that wants to jump all over the press, like, it doesn't even concern me, because so many people are so concerned with playing defense. And I'm like, how do we get more on the offensive and educate more, put more information out? It's the reason why I was like, hey, yeah, I'll absolutely jump on and do an Instagram live, because I think the education part of things is so important. So that way, when someone does get hit with this news media outlet, or they do get hit with a Jillian Michaels or whomever article, they're not fazed by it, because they're so well educated on, like, seeing past that and seeing past the buzz that people are trying to create just because it's a hot topic. That's what I'm more focused on, is how do we be more on the offensive and educate more? And that's what fires me up, is like, stuff like that doesn't even get me upset, because it just inspires me to do better and get out there more and educate more, because ultimately that's what's going to drive people to truly be educated and understand this.
Well, and I feel like once you know, and there isn't anything anyone can say to dissuade you. Like, for example, my son came up to me last week and he said, so, Mom, do you plan on doing keto forever? And I said, well, yeah, dude, why? And he said, well, because I was reading online how it's not really healthy long term. And I was like, oh, that's a lie. that's a lie. And he goes, oh, okay, then I'm sure you know, Mom.
Right. And, stuff like that happens all the time. And that's ultimately the reason why we created ketogenic.com, is I wanted to help people sift through the noise, right? There's so much info, and sometimes people get paralysis by analysis. They'll see like 3 good things, and then they'll see 1 bad thing, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm gonna hyper focus on the bad." And it doesn't matter what the source is, doesn't matter where it's coming from. And I said, you know what? Forget about that. Why don't we try and help people sift through the noise? Why don't we provide them with a resource that they can go to that they know is going to be scientifically sound? It's not going to be full of fluff. We're going to tell you the good and the bad and the ugly, or whatever you want to know, and help clarify and educate. Because at the end of the day, if you're educated and you can go out understanding, all right, I truly know and can comprehend this and make it a lifestyle, so that way it's not something that is done for 2 weeks and then I fall off the bandwagon, then that's the goal, is how do we just continue to help educate?
Yes. And the sustainability of a lifestyle, anything you choose, any way of eating that you choose, it needs to be something that you can do long term. If you are looking at keto for, 50 pounds weight loss and then you're going to go back, I see people post in groups all of the time, well, I don't know if I do keto because as soon as you go off, you're just going to gain all that weight back. What do you say when people say that? Yeah,
and the thing is, and this is one of the things that it's a mindset shift and perspective for people understanding, oh, I love cookies. It's not like I hate cookies. I love cookies too. It's just I found ways to make alternatives that, and even in my opinion now, they're more delicious than the old cookies that I used to eat sleeves of all the time. So it's understanding that in order to make it a lifestyle, sure, there are some things that you might have to temporarily sacrifice, but understanding that you can make alternatives. There is literally, anytime someone goes, oh, there's no way I could do that, I'm like, what's your favorite food? What do you enjoy? And they're like, oh, well, you know what? I like muffins. I'm like, cool. I can show you 18 different great keto-friendly muffin recipes, like where you just cut out the sugar and you replace it with things like coconut flour and almond flour and a stevia and erythritol and some of those things. And I'm like, it's so simple, yet we try and make it so complex.
Yes.
And it's understanding that there are always these swaps for people to utilize to truly make this a lifestyle.
Yes. Okay, so we have a comment. I'm just going to quick scroll at that one and see what it says. Corey Can Keto says, I have very few carbs daily, sometimes none, just protein and fat. But it's sustainable for her that way because she does need a little bit of carb in the long run. And she's down 105 pounds. So we get our congratulations on that. That is absolutely amazing, lady. So let's talk a little bit about keto, not necessarily just for weight loss either, because I like to talk about keto as the healthy balance diet. So let's touch a little bit on when people are underweight, what keto can do for them, because it's not just for losing weight either.
Right. I agree. And so one of the things we're actually doing, and this is something that's difficult for a lot of people to wrap their minds around, but like a lot of people think of it from people who are like obese or overweight and want to slim down and lose fat. But there are applications for someone who might have like suffered with anorexia to try and put on weight, or people that are like suffering from cachexia, from muscle wasting, and really need to preserve muscle mass. So how do we do that? The interesting thing about it is not only, obviously, fat is very calorically dense, right? It has a lot of calories per gram, so it's easy to have a bunch of fat and get your calories up. But to me, what's more interesting and more exciting is that being in a ketogenic state, being in a state of ketosis itself, helps preserve muscle mass. And not that I'm trying to be the next Mr. Olympia or Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it doesn't matter who you are, male or female. It doesn't matter what you do. Muscle mass is very important. Doesn't matter. Like, you need to have some degree of muscle mass, whether it's from preventing sarcopenia or age-related muscle loss, to trying to put on muscle and lift heavy things in the gym. Whatever your goals are not falling, right? I think a lot of times people go, oh, I don't want to gain muscle mass. Well, when you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, it's very important to have that muscle mass so you don't slip and fall down the stairs and then be out, and then it's a downhill spiral from there. So that is something that always fascinates me and is interesting, is for people who are looking to put on size. And it's not just weight. I don't even like using the term weight because weight can fluctuate. Yes. What you want is to change your body composition. You want to ultimately lose fat and gain muscle. No one wants to put on fat mass. It's just that's not a fun thing. You want to put on the right quality mass. You want to put on muscle mass. Yes. And no one wants to lose muscle mass. People just want to lose fat mass. So it's how do you change that body composition that truly matters.
Okay, so here's my question, because it's very well known that you can't build muscle mass without carbohydrates. I don't know how you didn't know that, Dr. Ryan, but everybody knows. It's very well known.
Gosh, that was literally the start of what really inspired us to get on this journey. Is people were like, there's no way. You need carbohydrates. You need insulin. And we actually did the first study where we actually compared two groups with a Western diet versus a ketogenic diet. Okay. Put them on it for just even 10 weeks. 10 weeks, and they trained 3 times a week. Both groups gained the same amount of muscle mass to the same degree. And we actually looked at things like muscle protein synthesis and so many different markers, and all of them were improved in a ketogenic state, even though both groups were eating the same amount of protein. It wasn't like the keto group had way more protein. Both groups were matched for protein, and they both made the same gains.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about that, because keto just means really lots of protein, right? Like, if you're keto, you're just eating bacon and steaks and, triple layer hamburgers, and it's too much meat. Like, I don't know if you know this about keto, but it's too much meat. It's not that healthy.
Right. Well, I do think there's something to a well-formulated ketogenic diet, and I think some people have gone off the deep end with like hardcore carnivore of just eating fast food and removing the bun for every single meal. That's probably not ideal for anyone. As much as I am an advocate for a ketogenic diet, like having Wendy's Baconators every meal for the next 30 days, probably without the bun, probably isn't the best approach.
What?
But I mean, they're good. They're okay to have occasionally, but every meal is just crazy.
Right.
So I think people need to understand that a well-formulated ketogenic diet, like coming from someone who used to eat 300 to 400 grams of protein, I probably max have 120 to 150 grams a day. Probably more on the lower side. And I train every day. So a lot of it is, I think being in a state of ketosis actually lowers the amount of protein that you need. Not that you should be fearful of it, but for people that are like, oh, it's just a high protein diet, it's not. You're having ample amounts that you need to survive and thrive, but you don't need to go overboard like a bodybuilding 300 or 400 grams a day. It's just unnecessary. You can fill in the rest of those calories with fat.
So we're not all going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we all don't need to eat like that?
I wish I could be Arnold, but no, it's not going to happen.
Oh.
Not going to happen.
Oh, dang it. So unless you're an elite level athlete, these things probably don't even, affect the average person in how we eat or build muscle. Probably.
Right.
So what I wanted to focus on mostly today was our brand new Canadian food guide. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little disappointed. I feel like we were the first one at the podium. And as an entire country, we had an opportunity to, set the standard as everybody is reassessing their food guides. And I feel like somebody really dropped the ball. And I don't know who to write a strongly worded email to. But
right. That's interesting.
So under the new guidelines, they're suggesting that half of our plate should be fruits and vegetables. 1/4 of our plate should be proteins, but this year they're leaning towards more plant-based, soy-based proteins. And then 1/4 of your plate should be whole grains, preferably, high quality whole wheat grains, rice, quinoa, they even said when they talked about it on the news.
Right. And it's the way to look at it. I like to look at it and say, you know what? I like you said, they dropped the ball in the grand scheme of things of saying, hey, listen, this is the way a plate should be formulated. I think it's a slow increase towards what we're trying to accomplish. Like, at least they're focusing on
better food,
vegetables and fruits. Like, okay, yes. I don't have a problem with that, but at least it's not 50% grains, which is probably what it used to be.
Yes.
At least they cut down some of the grains. But here's the thing: the one thing I advocate, and I have a lot of friends who are vegan, who are vegetarian, and they, like Dr. Will Cole is a great example. I've had him on the podcast and talked to him, and he's basically like, listen, it's not because I don't agree, like, he's just like, this is how I choose to eat. I have fish sometimes. But the one thing I want to make people understand is, even if you're considering having that small amount of protein, you need to get it from high quality sources.
Yes.
And if you're going vegan or vegetarian, you absolutely, undoubtedly need to supplement. Because vegan and vegetarian protein sources are very deficient in essential amino acids. They don't have high amounts of things like leucine. They don't have high amounts of like your branched chain amino acids, which are extremely important for building muscle tissue. It's really what triggers anything that's really good with protein that you're trying to accomplish. So if you are on that, if you are vegan or vegetarian, just understand you absolutely need to supplement with essential amino acids. But if you're not, the recommendation to just go more plant-based, I don't think is backed by any science, and especially if they're not making the recommendations, they need to supplement, because you need high-quality sources of protein.
Well, and I don't know. According to the news, it's because our old guide was commercially swayed by the farmers. So I don't know. The Canadian government is being very kind, and they're protecting us from, the little guy, the small farmers who are raising their beef and their dairy. I'm not really surprised they're the bad guy. Are you?
Oh, jeez, no. It's it's crazy, and I think we're advocating. I just saw a petition come across my email the other day. It's for U.S. guidelines.
Yes, they're
I'm
starting
hoping to start to see those start to make a shift. And at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to what our first question is cool. The guidelines stink. People I like it. As unfortunate as it is, as much of a reach as that has and impact it has, it just fires me up to educate more. And I know that's that you feel the same way. Is how do I go out? Cool. If you want to come out with recommendations of here's the guidelines, here's where you're supposed to eat, fine. That just means I need to work 3 times as hard to make sure I get the message out to more people that, hey, you need to be cautious about X, Y, and Z, and here's why.
Yes. And I say focus on the kids. I feel like somehow in our ketogenic community, somehow the kids don't really get as included as they should be. I think that it's important to teach our children from a young age that they don't need to live 30 years of poor health before they're old enough or mature enough to, learn about food.
Right, and it's funny you mentioned that because I was at Disney yesterday and I got this shirt. So it says low carb. It's got a dinosaur on it. I got it at Dino Land, and I was like, I need to get this. I was so freaking happy to see this dinosaur shirt that says low carb. I was like, I gotta get it. I don't care how. But it was at Disneyland. And I was like, you know what? It's good. It's good to see a message. I guarantee that probably wasn't their intent, but. It was cool that, at least some kids are exposed to this while they're at Disneyland in their magical kingdom enjoying a low-carb shirt. So
right? Because it's not so mean for kids as everybody thinks it is. It can still be fun. We can still make fun foods. And when you said you asked people what's their favorite thing that they love, that's my favorite game. I like to play the what's on your list game. Because when I started keto, like everybody else, I was really upset about all the things I'd never eat again. And I made a list of them. And then I went through the list and I punished myself for making healthy choices. And I did things like this. Oh, you'd like to have pizza, wouldn't you, Dory? No.
Right.
No, because you're the smarty who decided to be healthy. Way to go, Dory. Way to go. So I feel like it's kind of like a light switch. That moment when you realize that you're only limited by your own imagination. In the last year and a half, I don't think I found one food that I could not make a keto version of. So that's my challenge for you. Have you come across anything under the sun that you haven't been able to recreate?
I haven't, and this is the only thing, and I hope someone comes around to this. I know there are a couple in the works. The only thing, and the only reason I know this is because I used to eat, copious amounts of this, is, and I know there was a company that was working on it, but they discontinued it because they got bought out by a bigger company. But, a Lucky Charms, a cereal, it's the only thing. But I know there are some in the works to do it, but if you haven't, one of the ways I've kind of combated that, and I only have it occasionally, is I'll take pork rinds.
Yes.
I take pork rinds, break them up, put them in the oven, and bake it with a little bit of butter, and I put cinnamon on it. And it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch. You put a little unsweetened almond milk in there, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, unbelievable.
Okay, so I'm going to share with you my secret special cereal recipe. This is what you do. You take a half a cup of pecan pieces, half a cup of walnut, half a cup of coconut, half a cup of broken up pork rinds. And you mix that all together and you cover it with ghee and cinnamon and sweetener, and then you bake that all up and it makes it crispy. And then I broke up pieces of my keto brick on it, and it was the best cereal ever.
Unbelievable. That sounds amazing.
Cereal used to be my thing. Right? And it's healthy for you, so you can eat it in the big salad bowl size. I'm just saying, I don't know if you knew that, Dr. Ryan.
That's right.
Kellogg's says it's very healthy. It says it right in its commercials. It's the best way to start a healthy day.
Right. That's the scary part about it, though. So the marketing that comes behind some of those products is what's even more alarming, especially when you're talking about kids, right? And I think there's some documentaries that have dove into that, and I think the marketing tactics that are used to really employ kids to fall in love with a brand, in one aspect are absolute genius, and in one aspect are absolutely atrocious, because kids, like if you take a kid to a grocery store with you and it's like, oh my gosh, I need to have Tony the Tiger, like I'm best friends with him, like I want that.
He's my best friend.
It's like, it's insane. It's crazy to think about, but it's ultimately what the marketing companies are doing, and they're doing it exceedingly well. So again, I think it comes back to how do you create some of these alternatives and then educate just as well back to them and advocate for the healthier alternative.
Yes, a million %. Because I think it's not by accident that they market that these companies are your best friend and your comfort. I mean, I don't know about in the United States, but Campbell's has been providing the best food source in Canada for the last 60 years. They put healthy on your table.
Gosh, that's crazy.
and I won't lie, I fell for it too. Before keto, I don't think anything hit my table that didn't come out of a box or out of a can. Because that was convenience. I was a single mother. I was on a low budget. These are the foods that they market you can afford. You can afford to go buy a big pack of hamburger and a case of macaroni and cheese and a case of, mixed vegetables. You can afford that. And that, I think a lot of people get stuck in that I can't afford to be healthy. I can't afford it. Right. I'm sorry, Dr. Ryan. Some people can afford good food and to be healthy, but I can't. So for our closing out thought, I would love for you to talk a little bit about the money of keto, because everybody is so concerned it's going to be expensive. I can't afford it. It's way too healthy, and healthy costs too much money. I just have to be sick.
Right. Well, and that's a good point, and I'm glad you brought this up, because it ultimately depends on your perspective and what you place as priority. It's similar to my thoughts on time. Is this my same thoughts on finances, money? Is what is your priority? If health is a priority for you, then maybe you stop going to the movies or you stop watching Netflix every night, and instead you do something else to invest in your health. Because at the end of the day, like as much as people want to be super concerned about money and I want to save up for all this wealth, well, if you're not around by 65, what good is all of that? So it's understanding like, hey, I understand that I want to be around for my grandchildren's children, my great-grandchildren, and so I know that I need to invest in my health today in order to make that happen. And then besides all of that, it's understanding that people think the mindset is like, oh, it's going to be so much more expensive. I've often found, even just talking to people, it's a lot cheaper in this grand scheme of things, because one, you're not eating as much. Coming from someone who used to eat 6 to 7 times a day, I'm not eating as much. And two, I buy things in bulk and I prepare it ahead of time, and it makes it a lot easier. It's mindless for me, so I can focus on doing the other things that I really want to accomplish. And it's just like, I understand with a family it can be challenging, but it's just preparing, just being ahead of the game and working to prepare your meals rather than being like, oh, well, I have to make this huge meal tonight and do this and do that. You get frustrated. Just prepare ahead of time.
Yes. Keto Nutrition wants to know if you have ever come across a good keto croissant recipe. I've seen a couple.
That's funny.
But do you have a favorite?
Yeah, actually, it's the #1 recipe on ketogenetic.com.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's the number. It's everyone loves it. It's literally the keto croissants. It's weird.
Okay.
That's a great question.
So that's where you go then, and you'll find it. I'll have to go and search it out. I'll share it on my page so that when everybody's looking for it, because man, who doesn't love a croissant? Come on, like, hello.
That's unbelievable.
Fancy pants. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate it. Do you have anything up and coming that we need to know about to watch for?
I'm going to be at Metabolic Health Summit. I actually leave on Wednesday. Are you going to be there?
No, but I'm excited for you though.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm speaking on Sunday, but it's going to be a great event, and I'm hoping we're going to capture a lot of videos, so hopefully we'll be able to bring some cool stuff back to you guys and let you know all about it. But Metabolic Health Summit is going to be an amazing event. A lot of scientists, a lot of people. It's in LA. this weekend. So I'll be there, and then we just always have some fun and exciting stuff coming out. So I'll keep you guys posted on anything.
And you're going to KetoCon too, aren't you? Did I see you on the list? See, I'll meet you there. I'm going to be there. I already got my tickets for that. Like, they did not see me coming last year, but this year they know I'm arriving.
That's the way to do it.
Thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to meet you at KetoCon. Have an awesome rest of your Monday. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so best Monday ever? I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to disagree. We had an amazing, amazing time. So I'm going to sign off, and I will... Oh, that reminds me. I have something to announce. I was going to announce it on last live, and I got distracted. So, drum roll. Dun, 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 drum roll. We have our winner for my 2700 Keto Fam giveaway with Crystal Hastings soaps. Sorry. With Crystal Hastings soaps. and Dory will edit that out later, maybe. Maybe not. So our winner is Vicky Reed. I have contacted her, and I will be mailing out her prize pack today. So stay tuned, and hopefully when Vicky receives them, she'll post it for us so we can see what she thinks. Have an awesome day, guys. See you later.